the Icons of Real Estate podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from eXp's top-producing icon agents? If you are an ambitious eXp agent ready to skyrocket your business, this podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomasz Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your eXp business, from $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters in Real Estate Marketing, REALTOR SEO.
Hello guys, welcome to another episode of the eXp Realty mini-series powered by the Real Estate Masters Summit. Today we have Jim Black. He has been a licensed realtor since 2004. He personally helped hundreds of clients buying, selling, and investing in real estate. Jim's passionate about his commitment to ensuring each client receives a white glove experience when dealing with one of the biggest purchases of their lives. Jim is the founder of the Jim Black Group, with the sales volume in 2020 totaled more than 67 million, with 227 single sales last year alone. Welcome to the show, Jim.
Thank you. I appreciate you inviting me.
Yeah, of course. It's a pleasure to have you here. So what if we start with your real estate journey? Please spare no details.
Okay, I'll try to keep it long and short at the same time. So I said
that's how you want it.
Yeah, licensed in 2004. I jumped into real estate. I did it for about a year and then I jumped out. I didn't have any discipline. I didn't have any boundaries on my time and I quit. I burnt myself out. And then I took a 5-year hiatus, went into financial services. I went back to an old job working and fixing machines, and came back in 2010, where the market was not fun, and it was a lot of short sales, a lot of foreclosures. I wasn't an instant success. I mean, I started on another team, and I think I sold 6 houses my first year. That was working 60 or 70 hours a week, and year 2 it was like 16. So again, I wasn't crushing it. I think one of the big things I did is I just kept moving forward. I kept going ahead and showing up. So I showed up every week, whether I was making a paycheck or not. I showed up every week and put the same effort in, and slowly started to learn from people. And then 2012 or 2011, I went off on my own as a solo agent. I had worked, I was at Keller Williams for I think 10 years or so before I made the journey to eXp. But I was there, and then I started a team in 2013. It was initially A&M Real Estate Consultants. I was getting busy. I was on my track to sell 40 homes that year, and I needed help. I needed to establish a business, and I hired my first admin. I hired my first coach, and that was really a launching point for me. And slow growth over the years, over the last, say 6 to 7 years, with Keller Williams, grew up to, I think 2019, we did, I think it was like 56 million or so, 212 sales. And then, going into 2021, 67 million. And this year we're tracking more for like 90 million, probably about 260 sales. And it's been a journey, because I didn't know that this business was going to work out for me. And it's been a great journey, and it's been a great learning experience. I've found real estate to be probably the best place to grow as a person, is through this real estate journey and all the people that I've met, because I'd say a lot of that growth did not come from me having great ideas. It came from me finding people that were smarter than me, that had done stuff I hadn't done, and just saying, hey, can I copy what you're doing? And just copy what they're doing. That's R&D, rip off and duplicate. Best way to do it.
Yeah, it seems you got it going good for you. I mean, it's not like you don't need to have like a enormous growth to go good in life, and you seem to have a very stable growth, and it's going up. So you're saying 87, 2021, 2022, you'll certainly be more. So good for you to have that mentality of growth, even if it's just 5% growth. It's always growth. So my first question is that, so you spent 10 years in Keller Williams.
Yep.
And what I want to understand here is and so the audience could understand as well, is why the change to EXP?
I mean, I'd say there's a couple big changes. There's a few actually. I mean, one would be, for my agents, I mean, I could expanding into other locations under the same, split that they were at that, because it would get expensive if we were to expand in another model and hire an agent in a different market or even just outside our market. We're able to offer better compensation to the agents. And, as a team lead growing a team, I mean, the revenue share model within EXP has been, pretty substantial compared to what I previously had. And if you watch the stock market, you've seen what EXP's done over the last year and a half. So that, that's been a pretty good journey as well. A lot of it was I saw COVID hit, everybody started working remotely, and I just saw the shift. And I think the EXP's had a lot of growth, I think, because a lot of people saw the shift from our mindsets, which was, hey, we all have to be in the office every day, all day, and I'm going to be a drill sergeant about it, to sometimes we don't have to. So you see, people needing less office space. And what I started to see was, this virtual world is actually where we're going. So I said, you know what, I'm going to jump on this bus. Why don't I jump on it early rather than jump on it later? Because at some point I'm jumping on it. And I didn't want to make the move in the middle of everything that was going on in the world, and I didn't want to miss the boat. So that was a lot of what I saw. And there wasn't a lot of growth in our state at that point. There still hasn't been a huge growth. I think there's still a huge opportunity within Massachusetts, because the model, especially for a mid-size or large team, it makes the most sense. Like to me, it's a no-brainer from a financial standpoint, from a growth standpoint, also from training too. I mean, some people need that face-to-face training, but I think the virtual trainings that we have are way better than any trainings I've experienced at other places.
Great, and that seems about enough reasons for you to jump ship and move to EXP. And now, speaking of growth, as an EXP realtor, what's your biggest hurdle to growing your business?
Biggest hurdle to grow my business is me. It's the truth though. So part of this move too has been a personal growth journey for me too, and opening my mind to bigger opportunities. And when I moved to EXP, one of the opportunities I hadn't even looked at before, I made a connection to EXP, and we opened a mortgage company just a few weeks ago. And so, the biggest barrier is looking at real estate sales as the only place where we can build a business. So for me, what I found is I started opening my mind to, okay, I have this big real estate business. What other ancillary businesses can I tie to this? Like, where else can I, help the consumer in another business that ties to this? And, so mortgage was our first dive into that. We also started a coaching business. So we started actually taking action. So I'd say the biggest hurdle, honestly, has been mostly it's been my mindset. I guess from a growth of a team standpoint, I don't know that the team members care what company we're with, is the truth of it. Like they will see the revenue share, they see the stock, but they don't notice that as a big deal until they start getting it. And then they go, oh, that is really cool. For the most part, they're coming to us to come be part of the team. I think from a growth outside of our team, I think the one obstacle of growing outside of the team would be, we don't have local physical office space, which may be an obstacle to some people. It's, again, for us, it's not.
And so you're creating so you're adding another branch to the Jim Black Group. Is that it? Is the mortgage will be a part of the Jim Black Group? So
it's a separate company, JBG Mortgage, that is established, that we can serve. It's a brokerage that can service our clients. It can service outside of that as well, but it's more to have people, us to be able to have something somewhat in our control when it comes to mortgage, because mortgage is never in any control at all.
Yeah, to get that seamless experience with the clients and the customers.
Yeah, because they've had the experience that they've had with us, and then if it's disjointed when they go to the mortgage team or they go to the attorneys or they go to insurance, we want to be able to either have a partner, or if not, we create our own company where that person can go there and have the same experience that they had. So it looks good on us and looks good on them.
Yeah, that's where we're thinking. If you want to have something done right, do it yourself, right? Everyone knows that saying. So if your team is not delivering, or even if the customer experience is inconsistent, it might be a time to look at team culture. And Jim, then he told me that he wanted to talk about team culture here with us. So can we start with why is culture important?
So my opinion is culture is everything. And I've learned that over the years. A lot of times on teams, we try to hire people just because they're talented, or just because they have a track record of success in this business. And I think you have to protect that culture to the point where you don't let anybody in this world into your business until you know that they're going to be part of that. So that's why we always do a group interview with as many people as possible. And if one of our team members says, hey, this person isn't a fit, they're out. Because if one person says that, then they're not going to be the only one. So building a plate, it's tough because it's kind of fluffy, but a place where I, as the owner of the business, I want to show up here. Like, I want to go to work. I want to see these people. That's really, really important to me. And the people that I work with on my team, they want to show up to work. It's like family, and they want to be around those people outside of work. I'm not going to hire someone I don't want to have at my house on the weekend. It doesn't make sense. We're going to spend 40, 50, 60 hours with these people a week. We got to like them.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So what are the values that you cement to your team culture at JBG?
So I'm going to talk, from a value standpoint, one thing that I think we really push home is just never sacrificing a relationship for a commission. So there's going to be times where we don't get a paycheck, and it was the right thing to do. So we need some people that are willing to do that. And then I'm going to go into characteristics of the person that would be a fit. And this comes from the book, I think it's Patrick, I can't say his last name, but The Ideal Team Player, where he talks about people that are hungry, humble, and smart. And if somebody's missing any of those, they're probably not going to be a good fit, because if they come into our environment and they're not hungry and they're not willing to put the work in, they're not going to last. And not because we're kicking them out the door as much as they just are going to get really uncomfortable. And if somebody has a really big ego and they've already arrived, and which means they've had as much success as they will ever have, it's going to be poison to the environment, because our high producing people are the most humble people you meet. And then smart, they have to have some ability to communicate with people and read social cues. They got to be able to know when to shut up. They got to know when to speak, and a lot of people that can be a very hard one. And again, it will not fit in the culture. So if they don't have those three characteristics, and we've got better over the years at really making sure of that, because a lot of times we hire out of necessity rather than desire, and we hire people because we have to, and it's never the time to hire.
Yeah, not being desperate, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So for someone out there listening, and that's okay, so I have a company, I have a group, and I wanted to start developing a team culture. So how is the process of creating it? Obviously, you had your haha moment, and I need to focus on team culture. Like, how did you start creating this in your business?
Well, I think the first thing is you have to figure out what the culture is. So I think there's a couple ways. It depends on where the team is at. I mean, if you've got a divided culture where you've got a group of maybe a handful of leaders that are believe in one way and then a bunch of other team members going the other way, you might want to sit down with that handful of people and develop those cultural standards and then bring it back to the team, and the people that don't fit are going to not stay. Or, I mean, if you have a group where everybody is fitting, but you just don't know what it is just actually doing maybe like a brainstorming session and asking people, like, when you think of like for one, what excites you about coming here every day, and what if we were to talk about the culture, what would you consider, and basically take everybody's ideas. And I think that's a cultural piece that people miss. A lot of times we create a business and we become a dictator, and that never works, because I know for me, I don't have all the answers, probably not even close to half of them. But I have other people that are skilled in different areas that I'm not, and having them be able to give input, not everybody giving input on everything, but allowing others to have ownership and give input on decisions in the business, and be willing to be wrong. A key in our business was when my director of operations came to me, sat me down and said, we're doing everything wrong. And when she did that, I had a couple ways I could have gone. I could have said, hey, like, you're fired, which she thought might be an outcome. Or I could have done what I did, which was said, I acknowledge the fact that, you know what, you're right. Now what do we do? So I was humble enough to say I'm wrong. And I helped empower someone who has now been with me for 8 years in this business, because I empowered her to, okay, well, there is a problem. Now, how do we fix it? So I didn't say I'll go fix it or you go fix it. I said, let's fix this together.
Great. It looks like you decide what culture you want to have in your business, and then every decision you make is going to build that culture. And if you go against it, you will disrupt the culture. So always be mind aware of what you're doing, and what Jim did here about being humble with someone, I guess, beneath them, if you can say this, it was the right choice, right?
Yeah, because they had that person rise up, because they, at that point, they might have in the organization felt beneath me, but then at that table, we became on the level playing field. And the other thing is, as a business owner, like, to not be sitting at that board of directors table by yourself is really cool. Like, to actually have other people sitting there, other decision makers at that table, it makes it a lot less pressure on you, and you're going to get some better ideas.
Nice. And I have here a set of questions that you will be really good also to ask your team to understand where they at with your team culture. But I guess I'm asking you now.
Yep.
So the first one would be, what makes you proud to work at this company?
I think it's just watching the growth that I see in the people, both personally and professionally, over the years. It's almost like that proud dad moment, like where, your kid hits a home run or something on baseball. Like, it's just seeing that it's created a little bit of a life of its own, and the people in it protect the culture probably more than I do.
Nice. And what are some of the ways that the company celebrates success?
So I'm not great at celebrating success myself, but something I try to put out there periodically is just a little. Sometimes it's the little things, actually. It's not. So sometimes it's like that post on Facebook, like, hey, so-and-so just is awesome. It could be because they sold so many houses, but it could be just they're awesome in general. Sometimes a celebration can be as simple as, like, somebody's doing a great job, and you just say, great job. You give them like something small as like a gift to say, you're awesome. So I think it's those little things. A lot of times we get so focused on, like, this big celebration, and we forget to say, like, that the fact that you got that thing to the finish line and the buyer was so happy. I'm proud of you. Like that. That's how you really impact people.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just a little word that can impact in the motivation of your team and that little word can give you more sales. So it all depends on that. And I guess the next one would be, what's one thing you could change about the company if you could?
So I think one thing, and this is again me being restrictive, is I would grow it a little bit faster to create more opportunity for the people in it. It's a conversation I had as recent as today, where I have a tendency to not want to fail, which sometimes can put a barrier for other people's growth, because most of the failures at this point are going to be little in nature anyway. And if we don't continue to, you're either growing or dying sometimes in these businesses. And if we're not growing to make sure everybody in our world gets a world that's big enough for them, then we're not really delivering on what we promised.
And how you get, of course, your personal development, you hired a coach. Does your organization support any professional development or career growth in that sense?
Yep. I mean, we have different positions, different stages. We actually provide coaches for. I mean, I meet with people on my team every couple of weeks and going through, their personal goals and help to guide them, with their financial wealth or really just about anything out there. We do have several other coaching programs like group coaching that we actually pay for our admin staff. Because a lot of times they get forgotten. They're like, oh, you just go do this paperwork or do this. I mean, there's some of the most incredible people, and if you're not developing your people, they're not going to stay there, or they're not going to grow and do the job that you're expecting them to do.
That's great. It seems like if anyone is listening to this and he wants to join Jim Black Group, they're getting the full picture. So thanks for sharing that. And now, if we can get a sense a bit of your future, so where do you want to go from here? What are your long-term goals?
So, I mean, right now, I'm going to go with a little bit of the why around the long-term goal. I mean, the goal is and the why of the business is to create wealth mentally, physically, and financially for all the people in our world. So that's the basics of it. But from a growth standpoint, to get to that point, we're actually going to have to do some pretty substantial growing over the next 12 to 24 months. So the business itself is going to really have to grow probably about 25 to 30% over the next 12 months, and another probably 15 to 20% over the next 12 months there to get really to where we need to be to create the jobs and opportunities for the people in our world to have what they need.
Yes. And in a sense of way of helping you reach that development is a question now that we ask to every guest is, in what areas do you feel you need to improve, and what are you doing about it?
I guess for me personally, on our growing as a team is really just building relationships with people to grow our team. So that's really where I think our because if we have very high producing agents, so we have, this year we'll close 260 deals with 5 agents. So it's gonna, so we lose an agent, that's a big deal. So right now we're in a spot where if we were to lose one agent, it would be a big deal. So really growing, that's a weak point that we have right now, and we really need to be a little more aggressively hiring this year, and we don't hire 12 people and see who sticks. We're going to find the right person. We're going to hire them. We're going to develop them, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure we have a plan that keeps them.
Nice. And I hope you do find the right people, Jim. And tell us, how can our audience reach you?
You can email me. It's very simple, jim@jimblackgroup.com. And you can text or call me. My cell is 774-280-0353.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Jimmy, for coming here. It was a pleasure. Thanks for letting us know a bit more about your team culture. I'm sure if anyone is listening to this, they will be interested in working for you. But I guess you got to be hungry, humble, and I forgot the other one.
Smart.
And smart. See, that was not so smart. I'm missing that part. I'm hungry and humble, but I'm not so smart. Okay, thanks, Jim. Bye.
I appreciate it. You have a great day.